Hello and welcome to What Do You Say Anime, a podcast devoted to providing you with anime discussions, reviews, and random hijinks. Episodes contain spoilers and possible shit takes on shows you love, so listener discretion is advised. If you are a fan of the show, please consider liking, subscribing, or if you are on Apple Podcasts, leaving a review, as this is the most effective way of growing our channel. We are also on Twitter at What Do You Say Annie, that's What Do You Say ANI on Twitter, where you can stay up to date on the podcast between episodes. So without further ado, let's get started on today's episode. Hello everybody and welcome to What Do You Say Anime. I'm your host Peter, and with always is my co-host Adam. On the docket today, we'll be giving our take on the winter 2020 anime season. Before we jump into that, I want to give a quick shout out to everyone who checked out our Anime Jeopardy filler episode that amassed 1,000 views. As a smaller podcast, it's a huge accomplishment for us, but it wouldn't mean anything if it weren't for the people who listened and played along. Our next episode will actually be round 2, and our returning champ, Tropical Robot from the Anime Every Boys, will be defending his title against Lynn from #Anime Talk on the Bros Who Think Network, and Spencer from Blake and Spencer Get Jumped podcast. And that will be taking place next week, since we had to take an extra week to get this episode out. So with that mumbo jumbo out of the way, Adam, how are you doing today on this fine snowy Easter Sunday?
I'm alright, still stuck in quarantine. Kind of upset that our anime convention got canceled last week. But new skill came out in RuneScape, so I've been grinding away at that and watching a bunch of anime in the meantime.
Yeah, I've been taking my focus into some MMOs too. I got into the Final Fantasy MMO, and that's been a lot of fun. But since I'm spending 23.5 hours a day inside of my house, I need to find a way to spend some time other than just watching anime. And luckily the new season has been really good, but today we're going to be focusing on the winter 2020 season. And we had some stinkers, we had some average shows, we had some pretty good shows too, but I'd say overall this season in general was pretty mediocre. Do you have any thoughts on the general landscape of the winter 2020 season?
Yeah, I think mediocre is a good way to put it. There's a couple shows that I think were really good. A lot of people really enjoyed, but there was a lot of 6s and 7s on the board, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then there was a lot of stuff that just dropped.
Yeah, so this is going to be the first episode where we have an entire segment devoted to the shows that we dropped. Because normally I'm in the boat of, I probably drop 2 to 3 seasonals. Each season, just because I watch so many seasonals that it's just bound to have some stinkers. And I think this season was 7. And I'll get to most of them, but there's some where I watched one episode and it was just pure garbage, and I'm not even going to bother talking about it. So, but for the most part, like we said before, a pretty mediocre, lackluster season. But I think we should start out with something that we both watched, and we kind of have similar feelings on it, and that's the 4th season of My Hero Academia. The season started out in the overhaul arc, and then transitioned into the Gentle Criminal arc, and then into the School Festival, lastly setting up Season 5 with Hawks and Endeavor. Adam, what are your initial thoughts on My Hero Academia Season 4?
Well, the first part, the overhaul arc, I loved. Then you get into the Gentle Criminal arc, and I couldn't have been more bored. And then they ended up with, right after the Gentle Criminal arc, when we get back into the School Festival, into the Endeavor and Hawks section, that part I freaking loved again. So it was kind of a tale of two different shows, really, where I had a blast for two parts of it, and then a third of it I could just I didn't really even care what was going on.
Yeah, I thought Overhaul. Why do I keep screwing up his name? Overhaul was a very good villain. I really enjoyed his arc. I thought this was setting up to be probably the best season of My Hero Academia. Season 2 is my favorite, just for reference. And then the Gentle Criminal arc happened, and that was, I mean, it was. I've heard down the road for like spoilers that it kind of gets involved more down the road, where that means more, but for right now in canon, and speaking only in anime, it was pretty boring. Like, it was just another, hey, let's make Deku look cool again, but as somebody who doesn't think Deku is that cool, it didn't really do much for me. But I did want to say something in the school festival arc, that episode 23 where they do the Hero 2 performance, that was my all-time favorite My Hero Academia episode of all time.
Oh, I 100% agree. I loved it. I freaking have listened to that song so many times, and just seeing like the camaraderie between everybody, it was great. I loved that whole performance that they put on.
Yeah. The biggest reason why I love it is that you get this idea that like heroes would sacrifice their life for one person. And it's the overcoming of, you see Aries like darkness coming off of her and Mirio smiling while the song was going on, that like really emphasized the fact that like Lemillion or Mirio legit would give his life for one person, and like that's what a hero should be. And it made me love Mirio more, which then transitions into, I don't understand why people like Endeavor as a hero. He's the exact same thing as Bakugo for me. Where Bakugo and Endeavor get the free pass that since they're a top tier hero that they can essentially do whatever they want. And I saw like on Twitter how people are like cheering for Endeavor. I'm like, Endeavor is a terrible human being, and just because he's trying now doesn't mean that like he should be forgiven for all the things that he's done in the past. And it's really hard for me to watch a superhero show and I'm supposed to cheer for a hero who is garbage. And so that kind of took away from me from the last 2 episodes with Endeavor and Hawks. But then Hawks is amazing. I loved Hawks' character so much. So I had like this counterbalance of like somebody I absolutely hate and then a new character getting introduced in Hawks who I absolutely love. So yes, I am intrigued for season 5. I hate Endeavor. I guess I'm ranting a little more. Do you have anything that you want to say about like maybe the festival or the setup for season 5?
I think I've said really all I have to say on it. Just that whole middle section felt like it was filler. And like you said, maybe it comes up again later. But the whole Gentle Criminal thing, and I'm trying to remember the girl's name now.
Oh, La Brava?
Yeah, La Brava. Everyone was talking about, I saw articles written about how great she is. I'm like, I can't stand her.
Yeah. She was honest, okay.
For me, she wasn't my cup of tea, but oh my god, I can't believe that pun just came out.
I don't know. I just like this villain he's a villain because he wants clout. I'm like, this is kind of whatever. Like, and he never really seemed like a threat, and he didn't really have like a villain-esque. There's no chance he was like. I never had the like feeling that he was going to like seriously hurt Deku. Like, I never got that. Like, why should I care about this fight if I know that Deku's gonna overcome, like nothing bad's going to come from it, and like that's exactly what happened. Just it made Deku look like a hero, even though he's just fighting some like wannabe SoundCloud rapper, aka some YouTube clout chaser, and it's just like this isn't really that cool. This is like if I don't know, I could make some random like rapper comparison, but like some big name dude trying to fight some up and comer, and it's just like I don't find the appeal in this. So there's some things that took away from that part that made me almost think it was better than season 2, but I still think season 2 is my absolute favorite.
Yeah, I think their whole reason they even brought him in was just to give a comparison of like, this is what Deku could become, but you never really get that feeling like Deku was going to be the failure that he was when he was trying to be a hero.
No,
so
yeah, because Deku has All Might's power. It's like, why would I ever think that this could happen to Deku? Like, he doesn't have any part of his body like corrupt. Like, he's just a pure blood hero. So it's like there's nothing that would make me think like this is what Deku could become if he gets overcome by darkness or something like that. It's like, no, he's just, I don't know, just took away from it. But don't want to rant on too much because I did think overall this was a pretty good season. There's just some minor parts that I don't like. And I gave it an 8. And Adam, I believe you gave it a 7.
Yeah, I gave it a 7. It was just that middle arc. I just was not having as much fun. I feel like if that arc was cut a little shorter, I probably would have given it a higher score, even up to a 9 possibly, because I really loved the overhaul arc.
I say the overhaul arc was close to, it was like high 9s, and then Gentle was like 5, and then I just averaged it out to about an 8 since at least half of the season was top tier, and episode 23 was unbelievable. So episode 23 itself is a 10 out of 10. So
oh yep, 100%.
So I'll give it props for that. I mean, it's like we don't do decimals, but it'd be like a high 8 or something like that. But overall, I couldn't give it a 9. I have season 2 as a 9, and I don't think it was as good as season 2, so I give it an 8. And we'll move from one Shonen Jump adaptation to the next Shonen Jump adaptation, and that is Haikyu to the Top, which is season 4. And then also we had the 2 OVAs leading up to it. I believe it was called Land versus Air, which sets up, like, in canon, the national tournament for, like, 2 side teams. And for this season of Haikyu, we finally got the season we were looking for after they beat Shiratorizawa in season 3. Spoiler, sorry, and it's their preparation for the national tournament. And we got to see Kageyama move to a national training camp, while Hinata kind of got stuck being a ball boy for their local prefecture. Adam, your thoughts on season 4 of Haikyu?
Okay, this has a very similar, like, if you were to graph out my scores, a very similar, like, shape to what My Hero Academia did, where I liked the first half, wasn't so hot in the middle, and then liked the ending again. But that middle part wasn't quite as low as I scored My Hero Academia. I really liked the first part, watching them, like, have to adapt to, like, first, they're not playing with their team. They're, like, playing with different students from around the nation and, like, learning their quirks and stuff. But I like just the character growth that we get at the beginning, and then seeing them overcome their nerves in the first match of the national tournament. Plus, they introduced a really cute like, side character from another school, a female volleyball player at the nationals, that I really hope she gets, like, the romance she deserves, but I really doubt she will.
Yeah, you got to see was Tanaka, I believe his name is.
Yeah, it's Tanaka's childhood friend.
And kind of a glimpse of what could be, because it's kind of hinted throughout the show, like, minor romance stuff, and this is another one. I forgot, like, the captain and the girl volleyball player from the same school kind of had, like, a thing for, like, half an episode. So, like, there's, like, really minor romance things, but, like, nothing ever evolved from it. And I doubt Haikyu is going to go that route since they're in the national tournament, especially setting up the next core for season 4. But that being said, I thought that this season was a setup for the next core. I thought the national the national team that Kageyama got to, like, be a part of for practice was kind of cool. You got to see some new students from different schools that weren't in their prefecture, and it's foreshadowing probably some people that they're going to be playing in the national tournament if they win their first game in the first core, and they're setting up the second game in the second core, or in the last 2 episodes of the season. Which I'm so tempted to pick up the manga, but I just think the animations are so good in the game itself that it makes it feel like this is a show that's going to be really hard to pick up the manga for, just because I think the anime is so well done. Because Haikyu is my number 5 all-time show, and so it's really hard to pick up a manga of a show that I absolutely love, but I will be picking it up when the next core is finished. But that being said, it was more of a setup. I kind of think of how season 2 set up the Shiratorizawa, and then season 3 was that match, and it's my favorite arc of all time. I think we're leaning more towards that, where this was good, and it's going to be setting up something great. And so because of that, I gave it an 8, which I still think is a great score, and it's a really good setup for the next core. And Adam, I believe you also gave it an 8.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 as well. I think the lows of this season weren't quite as low as My Hero Academia, so it bumped it up a little bit, and both shows are like equal in my eyes. Like I love both of them for different reasons. But yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed it, and I really expect this next season's probably going to be a 9 or a 10.
Yeah, then I really hope it's not going to be delayed either, because now we're seeing more shows getting pushed back. And what I thought this season was going to be the most stacked season of all time, more and more shows getting pushed back. And so next season might actually be the most stacked season of all time if we keep Haikyu. It's planned for next season, so if we get that in like ReZero season 2, and unfortunately Snafu got pushed back as well, so crossing my fingers that this doesn't get pushed back to October, but we will wait and see. Next up we have Science Fell in Love, So I Tried to Prove It. A college-based math romance rom-com where the two main characters are trying to use math and statistics to prove what love is. And I was pretty excited for this because it was a rom-com that wasn't set in high school. And I have some mixed feelings about it. Adam, what are your general thoughts on Science Fell in Love, So I Tried to Prove It?
Yeah, I also had some mixed feelings on it. There are times when I was like really into it and I thought it was really funny, but it was one of those shows that I'd watch like 1 or 2 episodes and I'd be like, all right, I am done. I need to take a break and watch something else. And so like I watched this last week, like caught myself up.
Yeah.
And so I was in like a binge mood and I couldn't binge this show. As much as I was like having fun from time to time, I don't know how great a show it is. I guess it's hard to put what my thoughts into words. I think some of the characters are fun, but like the jokes kind of run a little too long. It would have been better as a short, maybe.
I agree. 100% would have been better as a short. And my take on it, I think you might also think... I think we kind of have similar wavelengths when it comes to shows like this. I was hoping for a Wotakoi, and we got like a Nisekoi. Like, we got like a high school rom-com set in college. And I wanted them to be adults. I wanted them to like use logic and be mature about these situations. And they were kids. They were acting like they were 14 and they've had no interactions with people before.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good way to put it. Because if they didn't tell you that the setting was in a college, or they weren't always in a college research room, you would 100% think that these are just high school kids that are just figuring out what it means to like some.
Yeah, and it's like, the joke is, like, because they say in the show, like, I believe, like, the main boy character is 22, so I'm assuming that the main girl character is pretty close to 22, if not 22, and the whole thing was, like, we've never liked people before until literally this exact moment. It's like, really? Like, you've never had a crush on somebody, and it's just them trying to, like, it's like the same, like, high school, middle school romance where they're trying to figure out how to confess their feelings to somebody. It's like, you're 22 years old. If you don't know how to do this by now, you're fucked. And it kind of took away from it, and they try to use, like, stats to be funny. Like, this is the perfect, like, we have to do this experiment. For example, they do, like, an experiment where, like, they fake confess each other when the sun's going down, so it's like a sunset scene, and they're trying to, like, use math to make it funny. And to me, if you have to explain the joke, it's not funny. And that's what they did a lot of the show. But that being said, I did like the characters. I did like the interactions between them. I just didn't like the romance element of the show.
Yeah, I liked, what was her name? Ibarata. Like, I thought there's some of the small little references they dropped were awesome. Like, so she's like a 4'6", like, senior who's addicted to video games. She's like, the first time you see her, she's like laying down, playing like a cell phone game, like a console game at the same time, talking about how she fell asleep during like a limited time event, and so she's catching up on it. And then they give like a little bio about her, and just in her like biography, her idol is Daigo Umehara, which I thought was freaking hilarious. Because if you don't know, Daigo is a professional Street Fighter player who's like legendary. So I just like small things like that I thought were great. And their interactions with each other were fun until they started to like, okay, let's move down the romance side, and then I'd be like, all right, now I don't care anymore. Now that the opening jokes are out of the way, the jokes you make for the sense of the plot kind of fell short more times than they hit.
Yeah. And I still think overall, if you're looking for a like silly rom-com, I think this is a very average rom-com that, and it's getting a dub too. So like, if you just need something to like shut your brain off and you like rom-coms, I think this is an okay show. But if you're expecting like Wotakoi like I was, it's not going to be that. So I give it I give it a 7. Oh, you checked? Tell me about the dub. How many episodes you saw?
I mean, I watched the first 4 episodes in the dub, I think, and it wasn't bad. Like the characters' voices seemed to fit. Was it Kanade? I think it is she's the like odd one out.
Yeah, the odd one out. Yeah, she's like
the normal one, I guess you would put it.
Yeah, she's like the moderator between everything, where she doesn't have a romantic interest in anybody. She's just the fifth wheel of this like lab group, because there is kind of like it's not really, it's kind of hinted because they're like childhood friends or whatever, but between like the goofy blonde hair dude and the small pink hair girl,
they kind of have like and Ibarata.
Yeah, they kind of have like a hint. It's like a ship, but like there's no romance. The main romance is between the two main characters with glasses.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know, the characters were all right, but yeah, I gave it a 6.
All right, next up is a show that I only watched, and that was Keep Your Hands Off of Eizouken, which means like a motion picture club. And it's about 3 girls who want to start up they're all in like, well, 2 of them are in the anime, and one's in the business. And that chick is awesome. Oh, I wish I wasn't blanking on her name right now, but she's the glasses girl. And their whole thing is that they want to make anime, and they're really good at it. And then the girl's like, the main girl with the glasses, all about the business side of anime, and she realizes that she can make a bunch of money off of these people. So it's just a bunch of hijinks of people making anime and trying to distribute it while being in high school. It's done by Science Saru, who did Devilman Crybaby. It's the same director. So think of the director of Devilman Crybaby doing a slice of life comedy about 3 girls making anime, and it actually ended up being an amazing show. The animations are out of this world. In terms of like how good it is, I would compare it to Mob Psycho Season 2. It's that good. They had a thing where they had these animations of so these girls make the anime, and then you get to see what they're picturing in their head when they're making it. And so the studio had a thing where they already had the animation made for these scenes, and then it got copyrighted. So then Science Saru had to make brand new animations, hand-drawn, for all of these scenes, and they turned out brilliant. It's unbelievable. This is it's so early since this is the first season of 2020. This is my front runner for anime of the year right now. Absolutely love it. It's near perfection. If you're a fan of comedy and slice of life and just like silly hijinks, it kind of reminds me of Shirobako. I give it a 9 out of 10. It's really close to a masterpiece, and I think if you're a fan of those genres, go check it out.
I do want to say too, Science Saru also did Ride Your Wave, which was one of the anime movies I just watched like last month.
Yep.
Which was just melted my heart. So like, look out for them, because the more shows that they produce, I feel like they're all going to be top quality. They're making a good repertoire for themselves.
Real funny thing, real quick, I just remembered. How this show was made was somebody tweeted at the director that he should make the adaptation for this manga, and the director's just like, okay, I'll do it. And then he did it. This is literally made off somebody asking a director on Twitter to make a show. And I think that's absolutely incredible. But if you're a fan of just like, just great characters, such great animation and hijinks, go check out Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. It's on like Crunchyroll. Next up, we have a show that only Adam watched, and I believe that was Darwin's Game.
Yeah, so Darwin's Game, it's about a main character named Kaname who receives a text message from a buddy of his asking for some help and a link to an app that he can download. His buddy ends up being murdered. You like watch him get killed. And the next day at school, Kaname downloads this app only to find out that he just inadvertently got himself, I guess, added into a survival death game, like that plays out kind of like an ARG, an augmented reality game. And so everyone that's playing this game gets like a quirk or a superpower. And Kaname's is basically the ability of Shiro Emiya from Fate, where you can kind of create a weapon it can't be a complex weapon, but pretty much you can create anything that he's seen or experienced before. And he's trying to find a way out of this death game without having to kill anybody and help him and his newfound friends escape. It has a cross of like Future Diary and like Tokyo Ghoul. So if you've ever seen those series, it's pretty much the story of Tokyo Ghoul, but with like with a yandere like love interest that gets added in. It has a really good visuals. I like that. I think it's a really good action series. I don't think there's really much of a point or like a theme that they're trying to get across, but I don't know. It was a pretty good just show to watch episode to episode. I had a good time with it.
And your rating?
I gave it a 7 out of 10, I believe. Yep.
All
7
right.
out of 10.
Right on. All right, next up we're going to our first ever shows that we dropped, because there were so many shows that we dropped. We thought it'd be fun to add it into like a middle section of shows. So let's first start off with probably the most popular show due to Twitter and YouTubers and everything like that, and that was Interspecies Reviewers. Adam, why did you drop Interspecies Reviewers?
Well, because Funimation dropped it.
Okay.
Pretty much. I couldn't watch it anymore.
All right. Okay, we have two different parallels on why we dropped it.
Yeah, I do my best to not pirate if I can avoid it. And so once it got dropped, I was kind of like, well, there goes that. I also don't think I would have been willing to actually review it on this show if I had to, because of just the content that it has. But it wouldn't have been a show that I would have been completely off, like turned off and not watched. So
yeah, for me, the show is a comedy hentai. Like, it's legit a hentai. I saw some of the because the Funimation, when it had it, was censored. I watched a little bit of the uncensored thing, and it's just hentai. I'm like, I don't want to watch hentai right now. Like, this is not the time and place. Like, I don't want to watch a seasonal hentai. So I thought some of the jokes overall were pretty funny, but I don't want to watch hentai. That's the biggest thing that came down to it. So I dropped it. I hated like the drama that came of it, because I don't know if people saw that they mass bombed my anime list and people were giving it a 10 out of 10, and at one point it was the highest rated anime of all time. So on my mal it's set as a 1 to counteract that. But I thought overall it's like, this is a really good show if you're 17 and super horny. That's my opinion.
Think you and me counterbalance that out, because I was one of the people that gave it a 10 just to do it.
Get off the podcast. No, it's just more of like, to me it was just more like, I think my anime list is like a great resource, and I hate to see it like, it was more of like, I thought it was funny that people were giving it a 10 and it was the highest rated thing, but I didn't really like the people on like Twitter or like comments on YouTube, or like people were like legit getting mad at like people for like doing this. I just thought it was like way overblown. I thought people were taking a joke way too far, and it's just something I just care about, like the anime community and stuff. So like it was just like it just looked bad for the anime community. So like that's the biggest reason why I didn't like the whole like drama behind it. And if you don't know the drama behind it, you're probably super confused right now. But there was a ton of drama behind the show.
Yeah, a lot of people were getting upset, and all jokes aside, it's not a perfect show. It's also not a completely worthless garbage show. Like, it's definitely somewhere between those 2 points, but both sides ended up going completely off the deep end.
Yeah,
so
I don't have like an issue with like pervy jokes. Like Konosuba is one of my favorite shows, and there's a ton of like pervy jokes. But like this show is a hentai. It's not ecchi, it's hentai. So like,
oh, absolutely.
It's just the censored version made it an ecchi essentially. But that's just what that. The next show we both watched and both dropped, and that was Aru no Sora, which is the basketball episode, or the basketball show. And I'll start on this one. The reason why I dropped it is one basketball match or game took like 8 episodes and is essentially 2 episodes per quarter, and they were playing like 6-minute quarters, and it was just the pacing was one of the worst pacings I've ever seen in a show, and I dropped it. And they're also awful at basketball, like the logic that they use. They have the main character in this is short. They have a scene where they're playing against another team, and the tallest player is being guarded by the shortest player. And the dude's just like, I can't shake this dude off of me. I'm like, that's not how basketball works. If you are tall, you outclass the small dude, especially in the paint. This is all taking place like underneath the basket. It's like, there's no reason why this should be an issue, and just somebody who loves basketball, it just drove me crazy. And the pacing was just awful. Your thoughts on the show?
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's slow. I don't think the characters are really all that interesting outside like the first few episodes they appear in. Like during the matches, almost no character development happens, and like you said, it takes 8 episodes for a game that isn't even important.
Yeah,
like this game has
like
nothing to do with anything. It's just the practice match.
The only like real character I like is like the bad boy brother, who like had motivation because like a girl was the manager. Like that was real to me. That was funny because it gave him motivation to play basketball. Everyone else I don't care about, and the main character, Aru, I believe his name is, shoots 100% from 3-pointers. Like he's better than Steph Curry at shooting threes. And this is supposed to be like, this isn't like a Kuroko no Basket where they have magic and shit. Like this is supposed to be like a legit basketball show. And he's shooting 100% from threes because he practices. It's like, that's not how it works. I hate to tell you. So it's just
the tall guy could back the short guy down in the paint. Like so many things that just don't happen that you're just like, how is, I don't know. It's when you're watching Haikyu and then going to this, it's just like night and day difference in terms of quality.
Yeah, for sure. Because Haikyu like has like an accurate portrayal of volleyball. A little bit obviously is over like dramatized. Like I'm not gonna say it's like a realistic adaptation, but like it's supposed to be like they legit like go into it where like height is a real issue in volleyball, and it doesn't matter if you can jump twice as high. If I'm twice as tall as you, I can still block you. Like that's a realistic adaptation of volleyball. Where this is like, hey, I'm 5'1" and I'm guarding a 6'6" dude. I can't shake him off. It's like, just pass that dude the ball. He'll score a layup every single time. They're not getting double teamed. It's just somebody like, if you like basketball, you will hate this show. If you know nothing about basketball, it's probably fine. Let's see, what's another show that we dropped together? Infinite Dendogram. That was the VR like fantasy show. I lasted 1 episode.
I think I made it 3 or 4. I know I made it at least 3.
Do you want to take the lead on this one since you watched it a little more than I did?
All right, so you got main character wannabe Kirito, blonde Kirito, ends up getting into this MMO because his brother asks him to. And this game, it's almost like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where they get freaking like blade weapons to join them, which are all happen to be like chicks that can transform into different styles of weapon. But I really can't even tell you what the point of the story is. It's kind of just like, let's go on an adventure. And this episode, I guess we're coming across a PKer. There's really no focus of it, and somehow the main character, even though he's like level 1, keeps ending up with these like ungodly powers, while everyone else in the world somehow who's been playing much longer is like left in his like wake or something. It's not good. There's better MMO anime this season than this.
Yes. Okay, so my biggest problem with like, I know it's not like an isekai, but you know, like the augmented reality RPG style shows, is that if you die in the game, it should have a purpose, or it should have something like negative effects to the game. Their like penalty for dying is like, you have to like wait like 8 hours again to like re-log in. It's like, nobody would play this game. If I died in an MMORPG and I had to wait 8 hours to play again, I'd quit. Like, it made no sense. It's nothing like, Sword Art Online, where in the original, let's say for example, where if you get killed, you die. So it made dying like a real thing, or like in Log Horizon, where if you die, you lose your mental state and you go crazy. Like it has a reason, or it has like a purpose of like why you're playing the game. There was no reason to play this game. Like it was just really boring fantasy compared to another show we will talk about later this season, which was so much better at like adapting that like fun play style of a VR augmented RPG. And yeah, I lasted one episode and I saw the purpose, or like the what happens if you die. I'm like, drop, awful.
I don't know, those waifu weapons are so weird too. Like I don't understand how a game like that's supposed to work, where everyone's given a special weapon at the beginning and some people's weapons are just better than others. So it's like, well, if you're not one of the chosen ones who get like these legendary weapons that make you OP at level 1, like what's the point of playing?
Yeah.
I think that like the main character isn't just like so strong that he's killing the best players right off the bat, but it's pretty much told from the beginning that his, like, I don't even know what they call him, his female companion that he gets is a special one that's just better than any other basic class. So like he's just got this advantage from the get-go, which just isn't realistic, and it's not entertaining to watch because it's like you were just given a cheat code.
And if that was the case, it's like another reason, like, why would I play this game if somebody gets special treatment? Like, is it like a pay-to-win game where like you spend real money, you get like better gear? Because that has happened, but like that wasn't the case in this one. So front runner for me for like one of the worst animes of the year, and I only lasted 14 minutes of episode 1.
Oh yeah, it was probably my least favorite of the year too.
All right,
and I tried it in both Japanese and English because someone on Twitter was saying the English dub is really good, and so I tried to watch that, and that was when I got to episode 3, and I'm like, I still don't see the appeal of the show.
Sure. All right, let's start trash talking some other shows real quick. I'm gonna just do like a real quick rundown of like 3 other shows that I only watched, and then we'll finish up with Adam with you with Plunderer. Nekopara, which was the cute cat girls being waitresses. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm 29 years old. This show is not made for 29-year-olds. I watched 2 episodes. It was cute, but it's like I got nothing from it, so I dropped it.
Also, that show was based on an adult game, so it's kind of weird that it's made for kids when it's a hentai game.
Yeah, and people were like defending it because the creator of Nekopara is a female, but I'm like, it doesn't make a difference. Like, it doesn't matter who the creator is. Like, it's still just, I don't know. That's another topic for another day. It's not for me. There's another show that was like that, was ID Invaded. I actually thought it was an alright show. It's just not my show, and I dropped that one as well. Smile Down the Runway had a really cool premise of fashion models and fashion design. And it had a really cool premise of like there's 2 main characters. One's like this really cute blonde girl whose dad owns a fashion agency. And so it makes sense why she's in fashion. And the other dude is a home ec club dude at like a random high school. And in 2 episodes he goes from home ec student to literally designing clothes on Japan's like most prominent runway show in 2 episodes. I'm like, what? How does that work? And it was just really, really bad. And then Inspector, which is one of the Crunchyroll originals. The characters were kind of cool. I really like the main character, like lolly-ish character, even though she's like 20 or something in the show. It doesn't matter. But like, she was like a really fun main character. But the story is that they're fighting this ghost that was made on the internet by rumors. And that's like if that was the case, it'd be 100 million ghosts running around everywhere in the world. But for this show, this one rumor spawned the ghost. I was like, this story is so dumb, so I dropped it. Adam, do you want to talk about Plunderer?
Oh yeah, Plunderer. So people say it gets better later on. I didn't get far enough in it to verify that because the main character is a rapist. That's about all I can say. The very first episode, like, they try to set up the world, which I think they do a pretty good job on. The idea that the world's run by numbers, and if you have a higher number than someone, you have more power, and if your number runs to 0, you get pulled down into the depths of hell. It's like it's an interesting concept, but the main hero of the show just spends the first 3 episodes groping women, and I'm not even kidding. Their entire 3rd episode is him trying to hide away from the police, and when a police officer chick finds him, he goes on a fake date with her while he's wearing a mask and just trying to like use her as a lap pillow, rub on her thighs, get his face to go into her cleavage. Just, he's a rapist. It's like if you took Meliodas from Seven Deadly Sins, you took that general story too, because it's very similar, and then you just cranked that whole like rapiness up to like 11 or 12.
Which is really hard to do, because Meliodas
it's absolutely
is very touchy.
Unreal.
Well, how about we move away from shows that we hate into shows that we like? And that next one we had was the 2nd season of Isekai Quartet. And we had the quote-unquote edition of the Rising of the Shield Hero, but they were really only in like 2.5 episodes, maybe, really. It was still mostly the main cast of the original Isekai Quartet and then the same hijinks. But overall, to me, I thought this was a better season than the first one. I really liked some of the interactions that they had. The interaction where they were trying to steal wine so they could get drunk from the principal was a really funny episode. And then just some other, like, trying to put together, like, their school festival was kind of, like, a funny, like, because they kind of do parodies of shows, so they're, like, kind of parodying, like, school festivals. Or, like, all right, we need to think of something to do. They're, like, crepe stand, maid cafe, like, blah, 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 blah. Like, the same things you see from every other, like, school festival, so... Really funny. Adam, your thoughts on Isekai Quartet Season 2?
This is another one that I ended up binging. I enjoyed it. I think I gave it, I'm going to like kind of cheat here. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. So like I didn't
According to me, you gave it an 8.
All right, then I gave it an 8. Whatever I sent to you is what I gave it. I saw 8 out of 10, but somewhere down the line, I feel like I wanted more Shield Hero in this.
For sure. I think a lot of people did.
Like my biggest gripe is I didn't get enough of that. I really liked the part with Rem and Aqua in like episode 10, maybe it was episode 9, where Aqua's all like not wanting to start over on the project for the festival that it got destroyed, and Rem's like, we'll just start over from now, and it's very reminiscent of Rem's speech to Subaru in ReZero, and then Aqua just kind of ruins it with the moment, and Subaru chimes in with a like, someone says like, what did we just see there? He's like, we just watched a beautiful moment get destroyed, and it's just funny coming from him because that's exactly what he freaking did.
Yeah,
they're those really types of references were absolutely great.
Yeah, they do a really good job of like connecting shows together, and like taking like funny, like serious moments from ReZero and turning it into a comedic scene in Isekai Quartet. And then like we had last season with the hint of Shield Hero, we had the hint of Cautious Hero in season 2 where they made a brief appearance. So it leads me to believe that they will probably be in season 3. And Cautious Hero would probably get a 2nd season, because we're seeing Crunchyroll like really like getting into buying isekai properties and like the licensing agreements. We see it with them launching the Konosuba movie, and they had rights to that as well when it was in theaters. So I think Crunchyroll is seeing where like they can probably make a lot of money off of isekai shows, and they're going to start buying up properties and like investing in these shows so people they will include them in their shows like Isekai Quartet. So really interested to see what season 3 brings. I mean, those are just I have a lot of like conspiracy theories with anime, and that's just one of them. So we'll just wait and see what happens. But I also gave it an 8. I thought it was slightly better than season 1, except the OP wasn't as good as season 1.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed season 1 a little bit better, just from what I remember. But like, there's nothing wrong with this series. If you like the first season and you haven't checked out the 2nd season, you're in for a treat.
For sure. All right, next up we had... Oh, welcome to Demon School Iruma-Kun. This is a show we semi-reviewed the first core, and now that the show has been completed, We'll give our final reviews. It was confirmed that it is getting a second season for 2021. So I'm looking forward to that. But Adam, what are your thoughts on maybe the second half of this, and then your overall thoughts on the show?
The second half of this, that I'm just trying to remember where that cut off because this kind of all bleeds together for me.
So it kind of
the second half is the end of the battlers into the idol arc, or I guess.
So I had the idols. And I also had their battler with the whole creating the fireworks scenes that they were going to make, and then it leads into the ending of that, and then that leads into the season 2, which will happen in 2021.
Yeah, I had a good time with it. It's one of those shows that I don't think the overall plot is really why you watch it. The characters are the entire appeal for me, and they started giving some of the other characters fleshing them out a bit more, which I really liked. I don't remember her name, but the glasses wearing girl, you find out that she's actually a secret pop idol, and you get her whole backstory of her parents and how they're ice witches and they can't really smile. I don't know. I thought I had a good time with the characters of the show. The plot of the story means really nothing to me.
Yeah, it's a silly show. It reminds me of a Saturday morning cartoon. And for me, at least, I thought the second core of season 1, it kind of lost its charm towards the end. It went from being this fun, silly show to some kind of more serious moments, which I understood, but they did kind of back to back, because even though that the idol arc, whatever that they had, was kind of funny, it kind of had some serious elements to it. And I just wanted to laugh at this show, and I also wanted, you could give me Clara the entire episode, and I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I wish I had more Clara.
Yeah.
I still think overall it was a fantastic show. This is one of the most underrated and underwatched shows for sure. And I think the first half I gave a 9, and the second half was more of a 7. So I gave it an overall an 8.
Yeah, this second half I gave a 7. Overall, though, yeah, I think I gave it a 9 as well. So I think we landed exactly the same. It was a 8 overall, 9 for the first half, 7 for the second half.
Yeah, I definitely recommend this show to almost everybody. It's just a fun watch, and it's dubbed, and Clara is easily the front runner for Best Girl of the Year, so you should watch her and have fun and get ready for season 2 in 2021.
Yep.
Next up, we had a show that only I watched, and that was Totally Bound Hanako-Kun. It's a story about a girl who meets a spirit in this hidden bathroom named Hanako, and she finds out her name is Nene, and she finds out that the school has 7 spirits, and it's just the adventures of her meeting the other spirits. The show itself, the art design is incredible. The art animation is completely different. The animation was pretty shit, but the art animation itself is beautiful. It's so unique. I cannot stress how good that the art is in the show. But overall, the animation was really bad. There's a lot of if people know what still pan scenes are. So essentially what they'll do is they'll take a scene or a picture, they'll zoom in on 50% of the picture and then move it from left to right or right to left. And then they'll just put dialogue over it, and that way they don't have to animate stuff. And they did that a lot. And so we got a lot of scenes where it's just a still picture and then there's dialogue. And every now and then it's fine. It was just way too much. I thought the story itself was kind of boring because it's just her meeting spirits, but there was no end goal. There's no reason for her to really be doing this with Nene and then Hanako, and then we get this third fake kind of silly exorcist character. It had its moments. I would say probably check it out if you like supernatural comedies. At least check it out for its art. You'll know right away if this is the show for you or not. But to me overall, I thought it was a pretty average show, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. Next up, we had a show that only Adam watched, and that was, I believe it's called Seton Academy. So do you want to talk about Seton Academy?
Yeah. So Seton Academy is about a school called Seton Academy where all the students are animals. And so it's kind of like a Noah's Ark thing where they have just a few of every type of animal going to school here at this academy. And the main character, Rin, is a human, who doesn't like animals at all and has a crush on the only other human that's there, Hitomi. And he decides he's going to try to date her, and so he joins the cooking club, and inadvertently throughout the first episode somehow finds himself getting recruited into the wolf pack of a girl named Ranka, who also joins the cooking club, and then essentially hilarity ensues. But so the designs of the characters are really interesting. They take the female characters and they're all like 90% human with like 10% animal like traits. So like you'll have cat girls and like sloth girls and panda girls and stuff like that. But then when it comes to the male characters, they do the complete opposite. And so they're like entirely animal form with like walking on their hind legs as their only human attributes, and they talk. And so the characters basically start like the cooking, like I said, cooking club, and they end up trying to recruit members, and they end up going around helping out the different types of animals, and you learn different things about different types of animals in the animal kingdom. Like, I guess that sloths only eat like 5 grams of leaves a day, and if they do pretty much anything, they overheat and their heart stops. And so it's a comedy romance, I guess, leaning more so on the like educational comedy side. I really like some of the ongoing jokes that they do. Like I gave you the sloth example. The sloth girl in the show is really cute, but anytime she does pretty much anything, she dies, and you have the wolf girl Renka like howling in like misery over her death, and that happens like 2 or 3 times an episode. I don't know, it's pretty funny, but it definitely isn't going to be on the top of anyone's list. I gave Seton Academy a 6 out of 10.
All right. I say if you are looking for an animal show to watch, go watch Beastars, please. It's incredible. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. All right. Next up, we have a show that only I watched, and that was Somali and the Forest Spirit. And it's a show where humans practically don't exist. They're essentially like a endangered species. And this forest spirit, who's just called Golem, finds a little girl who he names Somali, and his goal and their goal is to try to find other humans, because the golem has 1,000 years to live and he's like 998. So he decides that in his last 2 years he's gonna try to find Somali's parents or like more humans. And it's just an adventure story of like a father-daughter relationship between these two, because she calls him essentially father because she doesn't know any better because she's a child. And I think the tags were like slice of life drama comedy. This is a drama. There's some slice of life elements to it, but holy shit, like there are a lot of like hard moments in the show, and the pictures make it seem like something completely different. It makes it seem like everyone's having fun, and I don't know. It was, man, there were some scenes that were like that were hitting me pretty hard, which was good. It was good hitting me hard, I should say. If you want a good cry, if you want a really cute girl and like a great dad element, like this is one of the better ones that I've seen. It's better than Sweetness and Lightning. And even though he's a golem with like no emotions, he's still like, it's kind of cool how you see him like develop and try to understand humans, because humans are so unique to their world. And overall, I thought it was a really good show. Yeah, but you will probably cry to the show. But it had a great ending. If it doesn't get a season 2, that's okay. I thought the ending to season 1 was pretty good. But overall, I gave it an 8. And last on our list is a show that we were saving for. Kind of hinted at it earlier. And that's BOFURI. I don't want to get hurt, so I maxed out my defense. A show about essentially 2 girls, but one main girl, Maple, and her adventures in a VR augmented RPG style show. Adam, please give me your thoughts on BOFURI.
It is the epitome of the cute girl doing cute things, and also the overpowered like video game protagonist show. It combines the best parts of both of them.
I could not agree more with you. I made a tweet earlier in the season that how I was enjoying BOFURI, and that it really wasn't doing anything like groundbreaking, but it was still like a really funny show, and that completely changed. This show is the epitome of fun. The show was just so much fun. It was silly. It was kind of like, I know that she's like insanely overpowered, but there were some things that like actually made sense. And I know, Ab, you played Classic WoW a little bit, but it kind of made me remind me of something in Classic WoW, because essentially she could like one-shot somebody with her shield. In Classic WoW, there was a thing where paladins could dodge, and every time that they dodged, the next like auto attack or something would like do like 50% damage, and it stacked, which means the more times you dodged and you didn't attack, the damage increased. So like there's like these exploits of like people like dodging and then like not auto attacking, and then they could essentially like one shot world bosses. This happened in like real MMORPGs, and in this game it kind of happened where she finds kind of like exploits, and then it happens, and then they get patched, and then she gets nerfed, but then she just finds the next exploit, and then that gets nerfed, and like it's silly where she's like not like the bland bitch protagonist, because she is finding things in the game that are there that aren't just like bullshit, like they're just exploits. And I like that the fact that they don't go like unnoticed. So it's like, oh shit, Maple found another exploit, let's implement a new patch.
Yeah, it's so what you were referring to, the Reckoning bomb,
Reckoning,
right?
yeah.
The Paladin Reckoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much she just, like you said, finds exploits, but she doesn't do it like she's out there searching for it, like you would like see a speedrunner do, like where they're trying to like get speed tech. She just kind of goes around being herself and happens into these situations. Like the whole thing starts with she doesn't want to get hurt, so she maxes out her defensive stat. But that allows her to like quite literally fall asleep during battle because she's tired, and keeps getting hit by poison to the point where she becomes poison immune and then has poison healing and stuff like that. So it's just like Maple being Maple causes her to be the most overpowered, awesome character, and she's adorable.
And the like the side characters are great too. Like the two girls wielding like giant ass two-handed hammers and like pounding people is just so much fun. And then like she has like her. But another thing that was kind of cool is like their party is like kind of like overpowered, but they're not the only overpowered people in the game, and I like that a lot. Like they have like not just one overpowered person, they have guilds of like super powerful people, and they're like having legit battles of like MMO style like battles that you would like think of if you played like Warsong Gulch and something like that. Like if you had like a 5-on-5 arena match or something like that. Like it was really fun to see like these are the best players in the game fighting each other, and it's not like Kirito, which is just like one shot somebody or something like that. It's like, nah, like some people lose on their team, and they like a lot. Sometimes in one case they actually lose a fight. So it's like it's really cool just to see like different aspects of an MMO having fun while also being serious at the same time. Like I shouldn't say serious because it's not like a serious show, but like serious to like the game elements that they're playing in. And like her pet turtle Syrup was so cute and adorable, and man, there's so many great things to say about the show. And I even tweeted that there's no way that this show is getting a second season, and then they announced that it's getting a second season, and I was like, I'm really happy I'm wrong sometimes. So I'm looking forward to season 2. This was one of the best shows of the season. It's probably gonna be, I mean, it's funny that you see a style of show like this. It's probably gonna be one of the best shows of the year for me.
Yeah, it's a show that I'm definitely going to be rewatching too, like right before the second season comes out. And can we just talk about, just for a moment, her naming scheme for everything? Her name is Maple. She calls her Turtle Syrup, and she calls the guild the Maple Tree.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
There's so many like callbacks to like MMOs and stuff that they have, and it just they stayed true while also being silly at the same time. And if
Yeah,
you're,
world events and stuff are like awesome to watch when they're like, oh, the new event's coming out, and you're like, oh, sweet. And then there's like, it's gonna come with an expansion to like a newer, deeper area of the game, which increases the level cap. You're like, yes, this is what I waited for. This is how MMOs work.
yes, one of the most I shouldn't say I never had. It's one of honestly one of the most fun I've ever had watching a show. I'll put it that way. It's just pure fun. And even if you don't like find the appeal of like cute girls doing cute things, it's still an amazing show. I gave it a 9. It's contending with Eizouken for like anime of the season, and it's probably gonna be one of the best shows of the year.
I also gave it a 9, and for me, this was the best show that I watched this year so far.
It's so crazy to say that because I normally don't rate isekais that high. Or sorry, not isekais, but like fantasy style shows like this that high. And this show just, whatever it did, it just grabbed me, and I loved it.
And it shows like this that make me like, I'm not quite like Peter. I really enjoy watching these shows, even the bad ones I can find some enjoyment out of. But this stands above all of those other shows, and regardless of whether you're a hardcore isekai fantasy type fan or not, you will enjoy this show. It's just that good.
Absolutely. Well, that's the last show that we had on our docket. Thanks again for watching. Ab, do you have anything to say before we head out?
No, I guess just stay safe out there. If you're in quarantine, pick up some anime, watch some stuff. We got a great season ahead of us. So put down in the comments what shows you liked from this last season and what you're looking forward to in the current one.
Yes, and look forward to next week, Anime Jeopardy Round 2. It's going to be a bunch of fun, and I look forward to playing along and hearing people's reviews on that one as well. But once again, thanks from me and from Adam. We will be seeing you next time.